There. I hope that you all can hear me. Let me get this party started over here. Give me 1 second. Okay, let's see. All right, I'm going to get started. My name is Sasha Sabbeth. Some of you know me. Hi there, Annette. Some of you know me as the entrepreneur's intuition and purpose soul coach healer. And the purpose of this particular Facebook Live is for all of us to step back for a moment and take a look at where we are headed as individuals, as impactors of our communities, as dreamers of the life that we long to live, and as empowerment catalysts who know that we are here with great spiritual power to create the life that we want. I'm going to be covering a tremendous amount of range of topics, and I have one favor to ask of you, and that is that you please share this video. And if you can't listen to the whole thing now, that's great, because there's going to be so much information in so many different themes that each listening to this video, you're going to pick up on something new each time. There is a call to action, and that is simply that if any of you want to talk to me further about any of the topics I'm going to be discussing, whether it just be personal interests or business development interests, or you observing what's going on in the country, in the world, you who have a mission, you who have a job where you think that you are limited and you don't want to be, or you as a householder, you as a family member, you as a neighbor, the common denominator here is you. If you want to talk to me, just put a comment in the comment box and we'll figure out the most appropriate way for that to happen. If you have business and personal development questions, since that is my profession, we'll go in one direction. If you have interests about political matters, animal advocacy matters, we'll just see what you need. My purpose in being here is because I have been deeply touched once again by events in our country. And as a business development mentor, and as a healer, and as an intuition instructor, as a soul guide, as a spiritual teacher, people regard me as all of the above. I feel compelled, even in the middle of a workday, to give you the inspirational messages that are coming through to me from my intuition. And so here we are. I did put in the post a link to my Facebook group, and I also put a link to my website, which is under construction. And so those are some other places where you can find out more about me and my world and what's in it for you type of thing. So I just want to double check something. 1 second. Okay. What prompted me was the passing of Senator John McCain. And what this passing brought forth was yet again a very special focus to be made on the trajectory of humanity and the challenges that are facing humanity at this time. Now, I have many paradigms that I personally subscribe to, so I'm going to be bringing out vocabulary and concepts and precepts that may or may not be part of your world. And I'm going to do my best to make it as mainstream as possible and still be true to me, as I would like you to listen and have this be true for you. Right now, we in the United States are being faced with tremendous challenges that the gift of which, or the gift of those, are that we can no longer stay in a place of complacency, and we also can no longer stay driven and committed to goals that are more myopic, that are more just true for our immediate home, our immediate circle of friends. We are now, I believe, a more global impactor factor, because the more we have like-mindedness, the more we create a thought form, a collective consciousness in that particular arena. And so here we are in a place where the following are being challenged. Now, my video here is not a political video. My video is a perception and an observation as I peruse the events, the challenges, the suffering, the rising up of goodness that have now really made themselves known, come front center stage, as it were. And the challenges that I see now are, what is truth? This current administration has become amazingly adept at putting a spin around not honoring fact, as well as defying the value of science. Now, science is something that is typically designed to do trials, research, testing, and then from all of that comes some sort of a hypothesis, some sort of a fact, or something to consider as being a line of truth. And the reason that this is important is because the value here is for us to step back and start questioning, what is my truth? What is my truth about any number of topics? Now, that may not seem like such a big deal at the moment. However, what is a big deal is that when our truth is being squashed, then there is a lot that starts happening within us personally. It affects our work, it affects our creativity, it affects our inner peace, it affects our ability to do what we want to do. So my question to all of you is, what will it take for each of you to revisit your truth in the following areas? What will it take, and what do you find, if you do take the time to contemplate, shall we say, on your truth? Here are the areas that I would suggest that you think about so that you can develop a more intimate relationship with yourself, and in so doing, you may find that you are more passionate, more committed, more creative, more intuitive in helping humanity, in helping certain causes that are taking place here in the United States and in the world, and where you find a fire to help others in maybe more formidable ways, even though we are all so busy. Our plates are all so full. Concept number one is, what would you do, and what is your truth If you see somebody being verbally or physically attacked who is not of the same orientation as you, that could be color, that could be gender, that could be religion, that could be industry, what would you do? What would be your truth in that situation? What is your truth and your orientation about proven facts when those proven facts are played with, where they are dismissed? What is your truth regarding how people treat one another who may not be, again, doesn't have to be an attack, it's just overall how they treat one another if they are, again, are not the same gender, color, religion, income bracket, industry involvement? What is your truth about how you regard that? What is your truth about the fact that people are being robbed of their right to have a healthy life, meaning air, water, food, their children are safe, you're safe? What is your truth about that? What is your truth about attacking, let's say, animals that are hibernating or just living their life, but they're hibernating with their little babies in some reserve, some refuge, some area that is their right to live and thrive? What is your truth about that? What is your truth about the fact that veterans, the people who have served our country, are having their health, their housing, their safety, their ability to have ways to cover their utility bills, that all of that is being cut down, defunded in very overt and sometimes covert ways? What are your thoughts about that? What are your thoughts about the fact that women's rights are being, meaning their health rights, are being defunded and challenged and even made illegal? What are your thoughts about that? What are your thoughts about God being considered to be a dark, punishing, reprimanding God, where people are saying that this God is okay with things like infidelity, pedophilia, murder, lies, trying to cheat people, cheating people? What are your truths about this? Okay, now, yes, I'm stirring you up. Maybe some of you are going to just keep on going and not even get this far in the video, but here is my point. My point is that we are having emotional reactions to these things. And as you know, emotional reactions absolutely impact our ability to be creative, to step up, to be able to have the bandwidth to help ourselves. Thank you, Phoebe. To help yourselves and build the life, to have the vital life force, to build the life that you want to have. Unless we start focusing on what we can do to preserve the integrity, the inner peace, the safety, and the humanity of those whose lives impact us, as well as those lives that we impact, unless we take a really good, upgraded, up-leveling approach to that particular topic, what happens sometimes is that we are put at the effect of something instead of being the creator of something. We are put on the defense as opposed to the offense, if we want to use those kinds of terms. We are put in a place of reacting to keep centered, keep balanced, instead of going into that beautiful, visionary, dreamlike place where we think about and design and start to plan and set action strategies for what we do want. The passing of John McCain put a lot of themes again up front center stage. The response of our current president to him, the fact that he was a tortured POW of the Viet Cong, and how he did not take the opportunity to be released earlier on because of his character. The fact that when he emerged after that war as such an including, loving, yes, thank God, opinionated, where he grabbed onto his views and plowed forward. I didn't agree with some of them, no question about that. However, he included and he honored, he respected those who opposed him or those who didn't agree with him. He even worked to build a better relationship between the United States and Vietnam. He had the courage, the spine, the vision, the commitment to humanitarian values to oppose his party on many bills and topics that would attack the very integrity, safety, thriving of our America. And I can go on and on. Where this is all going is to focus on thinking, allowing yourself to think things through. When you look at people like this woman who is wanting to be nominated as a lawmaker in Arizona, her comment was that Mr. McCain's decision to discontinue medical treatment and then Mr. McCain's dying, his passing, was a deliberate attempt to bring negative shade to her campaign. Now, the reason I'm mentioning this, I'm not even going to mention her name because that's not the point. The point is there are people whose thinking process, whose range of moral code or lack thereof, their absolute essence self of who they project themselves in the world to be can now no longer be compartmentalized as, oh, just a politician, or oh, just a this, or oh, just a that. You cannot compartmentalize the impact that people who have views that are either, I would say, mentally deranged. Somebody else might say, well, it's their right to have their opinion. That's true. But my point is impact. My point is impact. And my work in the world, my mission, those people who are my clients and students and public speaker audiences know that my mission is to help heal the heart of humanity. And so over the years, I've become very involved as an animal and other species advocate. I've become very politically, at least aware. And I'm also a spiritual oriented business development mentor where I teach people how to get connected to their source of spiritual wisdom through energy projections. We call it energy healing, through intuition and psychic development. In other words, to find a place within your own makeup that is not what the visible world might be presenting, but instead to drive you internal and start questioning. It's not about questioning authority. It's not about questioning, I don't know. It's about you claiming the force to create the life you want and the values that you feel must be upheld. The position of the president right now is a very extraordinary lesson for all of us. Because given that this is the United States, we once were the leader of the free world. We are not anymore. Why is that? It's because the character and the behavior and the persistence of this particular president is against humanity. Now, again, this is not a political Facebook Live. And if you choose to see it that way, you shouldn't. You're missing my point entirely. What I am focusing on is the themes that are now activated in our society, especially here in the United States, where the most influential person right now is the American president in terms of position. And as an influencer, the question becomes, what do you see as the vision for the world and how people, the environment, other species are to coexist? Right now, we are on a trajectory that has built great velocity and momentum to divide, to make one party right, not party, because I don't want to make it sound like I'm talking about Democrats versus Republicans, one faction of society right at the expense of another. There is no inclusion. There is a divide, a divisiveness, and an ill will that is epidemic now in this country ever since our most recent presidential election. What does this have to do with business, as business owners, as light workers, as householders, as parents, as people with causes? What does this have to do with all that? Am I giving you strategy? The strategy I'm giving you is to take the time, develop your intuition and psychic intuitive abilities. Develop a knowledge of how to deliberately activate energies within you that can impact for the higher good. And then it's in God's hands. Now, when I speak of God, believe me, this is a religion-free zone. I believe that there is one God. I believe that that one God created many spiritual teachers of all kinds of religions. And I believe that this one God is a God of great love and vitality for us to do with that force whatever we focus on. Now, if we are focusing on taking away a hero's rightful label, John McCain, simply because John McCain did not agree with what our current president is bringing forth, to not honor John McCain regardless tells you about character. And there are lots of other things I can talk about. Ripping immigrant children from their parents. And I mean, if you follow the news, if you stay awake, there are many themes: racial injustices, environmental attacks for the sake of greed. It goes on and on. And I have to do this. I have to bring this up because it affects us all the time. It affects us either by actually hearing it, seeing it. However, I'm going to go one step further and let you know that we feel it. We feel the unrest. We feel the unfairness. We feel the fear. We feel the helplessness, the hopelessness, and then the gift arrives. That gift is to say we are not a victim. The gift is to go deep inside ourselves and find our power. Now, I personally have been on a personal development trajectory on how to have my emotions of outrage, anger, pain, maybe some fear, but more just outrage because my values are so violated by the things that have been happening in the country and in the world. The wars that have already been fought, that are now, those themes are coming back again about racial injustice and anti-Semitism and God knows what else. God knows what else. In the face of all of that, we are not victims. We are at an incredibly exquisite time of consciousness evolution. We are at a crisis of consciousness. We are at a crisis of compassion. We are at a crisis of humanity. And the purpose of my Facebook Live is, number one, for you to study how to become more psychic and intuitive. That's my work. You can contact me. This happens to be a week where I'm giving a sale on some of my upcoming classes and sessions and packages and so on. It's my end of the summer sale. Is to develop your psychic intuitive abilities so that you, no matter what is going on in the outer world, no matter what level of urgency, fear, chaos, hopelessness is going on, that you know how to activate your connection to your intuition and make decisions that will allow you to be safe, to thrive, and to be the impactor factor of whatever mission your heart belongs to, or missions that your heart belongs to. I mentioned that I'm an animal advocate, as well as politically aware and a business owner, where I empower and uplift and guide business owners, entrepreneurs, creatives. My heart is with the pit bull species of dog. And I see the treatment of pit bulls to be very much a metaphor of how we treat any kind of declared scapegoat. I see the treatment of pit bulls as a reflection of how we as a society have become even more willing to throw away life, willing to exploit life, willing to create a suffering for life just because we want to. Now, my call to action is to stop that. My call to action is for people to look at that and say, yes, it is happening, but not on my watch. And to find ways with whatever mission, whatever cause speaks to your heart is for you to craft a level of personal law, personal codes of behavior, personal standards of what you will and will not allow in your orbit to the best of your ability to control things. And if you have no control, or so it seems, then visualize. Do what athletes do. Do what performers do. They visualize, they feel on a multi-sensory way. They hear it internally, they feel it internally, they see it internally, and they create an internal video of the way they want things to be. Now, this creates an energetic broadcast that comes through you into your immediate environment. So if you are in reaction, and I'm guilty of this, I got to tell you, especially when the elections took place for the year of 2017, yours truly was a hot mess. I really was on a terrific emotional roller coaster ride until I started to get my sanity here in 2018 and found ways to stay grounded and to become neutral and to act according to what I felt was right, but without the suffering, without my emotional suffering, because, you know, those kinds of emotions are draining, and we need our vital life force to be there for our families and to be a positive influence as much as possible and to have a self-mastery. So, to develop your psychic intuitive skills, to develop your understanding, especially if you're an empath, especially if you're a sensitive. An empath, which I am one, as you could possibly imagine, an empath feels other people's feelings. An empath will take on, will sponge up other people's thoughts and feelings. And an empath has an astute need to separate and know their truth from the information that they have just taken on. In other words, an empath needs to know who they are, where their energy, where their thought processes begin and end, and where the outer world comes up against that boundary, comes up against that membrane. And they are able to see and know what is theirs and what is not theirs, what is their truth and what they have just picked up on. Another area that I am asking you to look into is what is happening to our education world, what's impacting our children with our current Secretary of Education, or whatever her title is, Betsy DeVos, and particularly what is being done to our veterans. As I said earlier, I have a heartbeat for veterans, for pit bulls, for political fairness, for humanity, for the creative life force that we are here, we're all born with, so that we can live our birthright, which is to have a thriving life. When we came into this lifetime, we came in with lessons to be learned, and a sole purpose to live out. And in the midst of all that, we have free will. And I'm asking you to start studying these things. Studying how to be powerful when it seems that power is being taken away from you. How to find the truth under pressure, because it comes from your psychic intuitive wisdom. How to become calm and centered by knowing how to run your energy, despite the fact that there might be such pressure, chaos, suffering, or just values that you have that are being violated all around you. What do you do? Who do you become? Who do you become? And who do you want to become? How can you feel powerful, but not through anger, not through attacking another person's values, their truths, simply because they're different? How do you become an empowered person that allows differences? Now, if there are injustices, I just told you, I'm a pit bull advocate. I'm an animal advocate. Are there injustices? Yes. Are there things that I'm committed to changing? Yes, and I am in my own little itty bitty way. However, we are playing a very big game right now in terms of spiritual expansion. Again, this is a religion-free zone. Don't go there in terms of a religion. Go there in terms of you being a vehicle of the God force. Go there in the quietude and the safety of your own privacy so that you can be truthful with yourself. Go there and determine, how am I going to help humanity and still stay calm and centered, still stay taking care of myself, still being creative in my businesses, still being a light leader is what I have come up with. A light leader is somebody who wants to bring light. What is light? Light is goodness. Light is compassion. Light is truth. Light is allowing, not where there is damage, but the light of a truth that allows for differences. It's crazy making to have laws that prevent abortion, let's say, when living children, these little migrant children, or Afro-American children, or other immigration-based children are being hurt, deprived. To me, it's crazy. There's a level of insanity there. There's a level of insanity when people say that religion and spirituality allows for such devastation to other people in terms of abusing laws, in terms of not following laws, in terms of making a imposition on those who are weaker. It's crazy. There is a level of insanity that is in a very voluminous way taking residence in our country. And how to bring that home to your business is that, for those of you who are business owners, meaning those of you who know me, excuse me, I've got something in my eye. Those of you who know me because you follow my business coaching and mentoring and healing work, how it affects your business is that your desire to sell, your desire to negotiate, your desire to see the value of what it is you offer in terms of products and services and ideas, your signature talks, the kinds of books you write, articles, blogs you write. All of this comes from a rich truth that lives within you that is part of your soul purpose path. If you feel that your soul purpose path is being knocked around too much, or you haven't quite figured out how to stay in an uplifted, positive way as life is unfolding here at this time, then it's going to impact your ability to sell well. It's going to impact your ability to create from the depths of your genius. And if you are an employee of another kind of business, it's going to impact your ability to hold your boundaries, to stick to the highest octave expression of your role in that organization. Because you, somewhere, your heart will be conflicted, your heart will be hurting, and you will not be able to shine. This is a time for those of us who are light leaders to shine, to rise up, to have a very strong commitment to the highest expression of what the Homo sapien, that being us humans, can offer as leaders on this planet. We have much to learn from our other species brothers and sisters. We have much to learn from pit bulls who are put into the most terrible, tortured, frightening situations of dogfighting. And when they are rescued and they are with people who have an understanding, a compassion, a love for them, these amazing animals become precious, treasured, cherished, and rightfully earned, loved, beloved family members who are safe to be around children, who are safe to be around other animals. The stigma that is sold to us in many areas now has to be challenged. And the only way to challenge it is to go into your own truth that comes not from your programming, not from societal impositions, but your psychic, intuitive, spiritually grounded truth. John McCain was a hero. I'm a Democrat, he was a Republican, but I'm looking at the man. I'm looking at the being that he was. I'm looking at the choices he made in the face of physical suffering, in the face of psychological torture, and who he became. In my business world, I have a track of thought called the sacred wound. And this is where those people who hire me to understand what their soul purpose path is, or to have an optimum expression of their soul purpose path, I talk about the sacred wound because this is a concept that John McCain so magnificently exemplified, and that is the good and bad and the ugly of your life becomes the masterful gift that you offer others. I see many things that Mr. McCain brought forth, the gifts, particularly the gift of character and integrity. And in contrast, we look at him versus our current sitting president and the current GOP, and how they are challenging us to rethink what it is to be an American, to rethink when it is a country versus personal smallness and greed, to rethink who are we, where are we going as an individual and as a country on the world stage. For those of you who would like to talk further with me, just again, put your name in this thread here. And I ask you once again to share the link of this Facebook Live. I ask you to consider listening to this Facebook Live many times. And if you're drawn to the principles, the paradigms that I have touched upon, you might want to go and click on my Facebook group and answer those questions and see if it's resonant for you. I'm not selling anything. What I am doing is I am wanting to narrow the focus here on when are we reacting to life and when are we creating the life we want? When are we abandoning, violating, ignoring our values that make us who we are as an individual, as a citizen, whatever? When are we abandoning ourselves, and when are we finding some inspired, intuitively whispered suggestion of what to do next, so that we can continue to bring our life in the direction that we want to go, and to help others do the same, including other species, including the environment. How to learn to broadcast energies that can actually heal an environment by the mere fact that you're bringing a feeling. You may not even say a word, but you bring a feeling of peace, of goodness, of goodwill, of honor, of being a trustworthy individual, somebody with integrity, somebody that can be trusted to do what they say they're going to do, someone who cares, someone who cares about what is being done to other people, places, and circumstances. Now, when you look about this and you start developing your intuition and you start deliberately directing your energy, if you are in business for yourself, or if you are upper management in some other business, some other organization, you will notice that you will be an activator. You will activate in other people their highest or higher octave. If you become more intuitive and you use your intuition, whether they know that you are doing anything like that in any given moment or not, it's going to activate their intuition, their psychic abilities, their ability to look at life through a higher perspective, not just gimme, 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 not just being reactive out of fear. There is a mobilization of one's soul force. And that's what I'm here for in this lifetime, is to free my own soul force and to help others to do the same, according to their highest expression of their soul purpose. Does our current sitting president have his soul purpose? Absolutely. Is he living it? Absolutely. Do I want to allow that soul purpose to, what's the word I'm looking for? To dominate and destroy others? No. Is my soul purpose to, looking for the word, is my soul purpose to curtail his soul purpose? Yes. Do I have a right to do that? Yes. Does he have a right to live his soul purpose? Yes. And that's the dance that we all dance. Because we all have a right to know what is our truth. I'm repeating these things over and over again so that these paradigms come to you from different angles. And most importantly, my intention is to have our focus be on the goodness, on the power, on the integrity, to, again, if we're business owners, to bring out our goods and services with pride, with a burning desire to help others, to be of service. I come from the belief that selling is serving. I come from the belief that serving is to let people know what you have to offer and for them to pay you, because in the presence of abundance and proper compensation comes a self-respect and the ability to live the life that you want to live. There is no scarcity. There is only being creative enough to keep driving along the road you want to drive. Mr. McCain's passing is such a wake-up call. It's such a wake-up call. Our institution to fly the flag when one of our own has passed in terms of Congress, House of Representatives, and for this administration to cut that time short. I mean, you got to look at this and say, who are we as the alleged superior species on this planet? Who are we? Who are we when white supremacists say that Afro-Americans and Jews and God only knows what else they say are inferior beings. Who are we? We're not this. And those who are true leaders of this country say, we can do better, we are better, and we are. And we are. We are better and we are doing better. And the call to action is for all of us to start being honest about how are we allowing ourselves to be impacted? How serious are we to develop our intuition and our energy healing skills so that we can be strong in our human form and be a strong influencer, what I call an impactor factor on others, including the environment, other species, as I've said before. And in a sense, what I'm saying when I come full circle is we are light leaders where we can bring greater light. We can bring greater light to our jobs, to our businesses, to our families, to our relationships, to how we treat ourselves. And we can bring greater light and honor and commitment to the connection between our soul and our human form. Mr. McCain's passing, as I say, is a wake-up call. It might be a whisper to some. It might be a bellowing scream to others. How Mr. McCain's passing was treated by the GOP, by this president, is only a metaphor of what's already been going on. And particularly having gained speed, velocity, momentum since our new elections. So the issues are not new. The issues of race, color, religion, gender, sexual orientation, minorities, immigration, laws, the institutions of our great country, the phenomenon called the truth and how that's under attack by this administration. The truth. Fact. Fact. Not opinion, fact. Women's rights to their own health choices. Students who have loans, that they be protected from being ripped off by wherever they're getting the loan from. Banks, I mean, it goes on and on and on and on. Guns. To feel that the solution to these mass school shootings is to arm teachers is another expression of insanity. It is another choice that will cause great devolution and is a example of how the real truth, the real cause, is just not being addressed. And then we ask why. Why is it not being addressed? What is really going on here? What is really going on? From a spiritual perspective, I feel that what's going on is a grand and great awakening of consciousness, compassion, humanity, as I mentioned earlier, in our society. We will either rise up and allow the light to imbue and uplift and activate the deepest cells within us of humanity at its best, or we're going to go the other way. We're going to continue to have racist deaths. We're going to continue to have the richest of the rich ripping off and throwing away the poorest, the middle class, our veterans. We're going to continue to kill off magnificent other species so we can hang something on some wall, or to win some bet, leaving dogs dead or ripped apart, where they suffer until either euthanized or they die a slow death. We will rise up and let this light leader scope of values dominate, at least in our own households, so that, like Mr. McCain, people will know that you have the courage, the spine, the mental clarity, the thinking things throughness to arrive at your point of view, not some knee-jerk reaction, not some silly or stupid, absorbed collective consciousness that just makes no sense. It makes no sense for an Afro-American person to go into a store, going to buy something, and some employee calls the police and says, that person over there is stealing, when they know that they weren't. I mean, it's insanity. There is a painful theme of stupidity, insanity, and viciousness in the form of ill will. And we do have power to curb that. So I'm going to wrap this up in great honor of Mr. McCain, in great honor of those from other parties, the Democrats, the Independents, who are vocalizing their great respect for him as he vocalized his great respect for those who were different in terms of political views. This is my invitation for you to ask yourself, who are you? Where are you going? Who do you want to take with you? Who do you want to help? If you're a business owner, what do you need in your business? How can I help you? Contact me. If you want a psychic intuitive reading or an energy healing because of something that's going on in your life, a pattern, a habit, a painful thing that happened, let me know. Just contact me. Most importantly, I ask you to be willing to have the tough conversations with people so that people vote in November. And they vote based upon educated information. Participate, show up. Be a person whose voice matters, because it does. Be a person who is, by model, an exemplar of what? You decide. An exemplar of what? What does it mean to be a light leader? It means you bring light, not darkness, not ill will, not hate, not fear. You bring light. You bring love. You bring a higher vision of possibility. You bring it into your business so that your sales skills are based on integrity, so that your packages and services, the results that you bring to your ideal clients, the results you bring in the causes and the organizations that you want to impact are of a very high caliber, and that you are clear about the value that you bring. Mr. McCain's passing was a wake-up call for us all to step back and take a look at our own individual life. Do we have the relationships that we want? If not, what's going to change? Are we taking care of our pets? If not, what's going to change? Are we taking care of our children? If not, what's going to change? Are we having troubles with our neighbors? If not, or if so, what's going to change? What's going to change? Please share this video. I was inspired to do this smack dab in the middle of a workday at the beginning of a new week. And I trust my guidance always. Those of you who know me, those of you who are my students, my close friends, you know, no matter what, I follow my guidance. So, if you're interested in more of what I have to say, like I said, In the main post, there is a link to my Facebook group. There are some questions you have to answer first. If you don't answer them, I won't let you in. And also my website, which is under construction, but you will see a lot of information there, the testimonies of the people and how their lives were changed. You can have what's next for you. You're not too busy. You'll make time because you love yourself on some level, or else you'd never make it to watch this video. And on that note, I wish you, wrapping up a summer and stepping into the final quarter of this year, to be one that you do with dignity. Oh, thanks for the hearts. Somebody's sending me hearts. Thank you. That you do with dignity, that you do with great soul force power chugging through you, so that you recognize and optimize yourself as being a force to be reckoned with. John McCain was a force to be reckoned with. He even had his prisoners, those who imprisoned him, his jail keepers, maybe that's a better way to say it. He had them speak with respect and tribute to him, and our own president didn't. You got to look at all this. This is not a political conversation I'm having. I'm not. Don't go there. I'm having a conversation about human beings. The power that we each wield as a human being. Our ability to make choices, to make changes, to change ourselves, to make us better people. That's what I'm talking about. And for you to want to have a prosperous life of money, of health, of love, of creative expression, of creative freedom, for you to take care of yourself, for you to let people know when they've crossed a boundary and say no, to invite in more of what works and say yes, to look out for those who you can help and do something. And for those of you who own pets, do not put them in a shelter because you're going to move. Stand up, be strong, be courageous, and realize that our animals love us, and we need to put a great value on love. Our pets are highly intelligent, deeply psychic, profoundly emotionally sensitive beings that had given us the gift of being in our presence. So if you want to develop your character even more, start by how you are treating your animals, your pets, and also start by recognizing your impact and caring about your impact. Have you left somebody wounded or uplifted? Have you left somebody self-doubting and hurt, or are they empowered? And if they've done something wrong that, you legitimately have a right to point out to them, fine. Find a way to let them know so that somehow, through the grace of God, they are awakened to your truth. And then it's always free will from there. You have no control of another person. You know that. But you do have control of yourself. And one way to be in control of yourself is to be clear about what you will and will not tolerate in your space. That means your businesses as well. That means your ability to mobilize yourself, motivate yourself, pull yourself out of procrastination, apathy, fear, where you're paralyzed. This is your power. This is your vision of the life and the person you want to be. And I ask you all to take a moment, spend time visualizing the country you want to be living in, whether it's the United States or elsewhere, and the goodness that can be activated in your country, because in the United States, we are at a critical mass place. We are at a crisis of constitution, of the founding fathers of our beloved country. We are at a crisis of gender, of values, of humanity. We are at a crisis of humanity, a crisis of conscience, a conscience, and a crisis of consciousness. And we're going to win. The light will win. Light never loses to evil. Evil will never win over light. Evil will never win over goodness. Evil will never. However, we do have to come forth, step up, and acknowledge the soul force that lives within us. We do. We do. And we have to know that we have to develop ourselves. Same old can't live in today's world. I thank those of you who hung in there with me during this Facebook Live. I do. Thank you for being part of my soul purpose path. Thank you for letting me have an audience to bring my soul purpose passions out into the world. And if you have any questions, just put them in the thread. If you want to reach me, just put that in the thread. The Facebook Live post has a link to my Facebook group where you have to answer some questions to be admitted in. And also my website is up there in the Facebook Live main post. And I love you. As a sister traveler human being in this world, I love you. Do I agree with what you may be doing? Maybe not. Maybe not. But you chose to incarnate at this time, during these extraordinarily epic times. And therefore, I honor the fact that you chose to be here. And let's see what we're all going to do about it. As a species, as a culture, as a country, what are we going to do? Much love. Bye for now.